Too many people have got into this industry on the back of the celebrity chef movement, and that's attracted the wrong type of people. This business isn't rocket science, but if you want to do it right, you've got to work hard. You've got to work hard. You've either got to have the passion for food or service or both. I'm a little bit concerned that if we keep going the same way forward, especially with automation as well, is a big issue. As the world progresses and advances and, technology evolves, it's about what I want to bring in to my restaurant and what I want to keep out to help me keep close with my clientele, basically. We're just going to end up with a big divide of just fast food restaurants, nothing in between, and then just fine dining that costs a fortune.
My guest today is Kirstie Thorpe-Jones. Together with her partner, they are the owners of the Bass and Lobster restaurant in Gorey. And we're going to talk about seasonality and also something they focus a lot on at Bass and Lobster, which is local ingredients. Kirstie, I appreciate you finding time to come to Hospitality Insights, especially because we've been trying to get this done, for a while, but you guys busy, you and your husband. We're going to get to your story. I want to know how you go into hospitality. And after that, we're going to talk about Bass and Lobster and your commitment to local produces. And not just that, seasonality and everything else, because I think you guys are a bit different from this perspective. You really try to be as seasonal as possible, as local as possible, which is something probably unique these days because it's really hard. So first of all, I want to know how you go into hospitality and what dragged you into this industry.
Oh, well, like a lot of people in hospitality, generally fall into it. I was born in the sink when I was 15. First job was KP. Went through the kitchen for a number of years, then started out on the front, and they were like, no, that's where you need to be out the front, utilising what I'm utilising right now. Always got a lot to say. And from there, then the passion started growing. It wasn't until really, you just do it as an automatic thing, you're earning money. I never wanted to go to university. I don't know why, I didn't want that street. I didn't want to get in loads of debt, to be honest with you. And I was already working and earning money, and I got a good work ethic, so I think that's how I came to it. And then the passion started coming, then about actually the passion about the food and a passion about service as well. So that's when you start training properly, and then all the way up. It's important to probably mention that although me and my husband have got different paths before, when we got together, that was when it really started tying in. It wasn't just about us coming together as a boyfriend and girlfriend. It also brought out a lot of passion for food and the service industry that we're in. So when we first moved away from where we met in Spain, it was our whole idea of going and basically sharpening those knives almost. So we moved to France to work for a Moth accredited chef there in a little place called Royan. And that was the first time that we worked together. And then I think that was probably the first little tickle of, is this something that we want to do for ourselves one day? And it's just at every point where we've moved or gone to a different job or anything, everything's just sort of happened at the right time. But just as long as we've worked very hard along the way, we seem to have reaped the rewards of it.
Yeah. Are you from Jersey, or Dave is from Jersey?
No, I'm from Kent originally. Dave's from Wales. He grew up on the Welsh border.
Because I'm always interested how people get here.
Yeah, exactly. There's always this background story to how, if you're not a Jersey person, how you got here. We originally wanted to travel the world, so he started working in a place called Ludlow and moved down. He's worked in London, he's worked in Spain, we've worked in France and then to Jersey, but we met in Spain. We just decided that if we were going to go somewhere and start brand new, and the whole basis was going to be our career, how we could increase our knowledge of our industry basically along the way.
So then when you moved to Jersey, when was that you came to Jersey, and was it that did you open Bass and Lobster right after your arrival to Jersey, or you work here a bit and then after that you decided?
We actually came to Jersey. We just left France. We were meant to be moving to China, but we missed our visa date and they only had 2 visa intakes a year at the time. And it was at a point that my husband said that we just need to find somewhere now, just for the meantime. So the first place that scouted him out was actually the Royal Yacht to do a trial there. So he went and he did the trial, and while he was there, the Grand approached him as well. So he went and did a trial at the Grand and preferred that for himself. So we both moved over together, and it was only within a few weeks I had a little knock on the door at the hotel room at the Grand, and the deputy general manager was at the door, and she said, I heard that you do front of house. Would you like to come and work in the champagne lounge? And so that was it from there. While I was at the Grand, Dave moved from the Grand and went to the yacht before he went to run the kitchen at the Bass and Lobster for the previous owner. I stayed at the Grand all the while. I was made a supervisor within a couple of months running the champagne lounge and the terrace. Eventually I ended up in Sicily with Nicholas Valmagna, the chef there, and was there for quite a while. I was there, in fact, when they got their latest rosette as well, so I was quite proud of that. And then,
what year was this when you worked at the Grand?
This is about 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
6 years ago. So, yeah, and then the previous owner of the Bass and Lobster said to my husband, I want somebody to come and run the front. So obviously he thought he could think of no better candidate than his wife. And so we came, and then the previous owner left, and we have to give probably a very special shout out to Sir David Kirsch, who said, I want you and your husband to take over. I will give you 50% shares. I'll have 50% shares. And then in the November following everything opening up after the pandemic, we bought the other 50% of the shares. So we became 100%ers then. But I don't think if it had been for Sir David offering that, whether we wouldn't be in the same position or not, we can't 100% say that we would have been that lucky. So
yeah, what a story, to get from probably you never really planned probably to stay in Jersey for a long period of time. It was more of a transition, but you ended up, opening a nice restaurant, very respected, and you guys doing great. I mean, I think you are, I'm not sure, probably always kind of top of TripAdvisor. Clients love you, which is great. And I want to kind of like talk about, I know probably Dave would have been more suited since he's probably the back of house and you're front of house, but
he's the brains of the outfit for sure. I'm just the mouthpiece.
But I'm sure like you both kind of understand each other really well, and that's why the business works well, because obviously otherwise, I was just talking to Sam from Cafe Spice the other, must have been like the previous episode, so I talked to him about the dream team. If you have the dream team, which you guys are the dream team, because one is the back of house and basically one the front of house, working together. I'm sure like every now and then there will be some sort of arguments, because it's just the way it is, like kitchen and
the front of house.
The front of house is always something. I'm sure like in this situation, you guys have something, even if little, because it always happens, but you make it work in a really harmonious way, which is amazing. But I want to talk about these. You really based on local ingredients, and you kind of like want to take that to a next level, which I see that it's not like I've been only twice, I think, to your place, but I can see that from whatever you guys posting on social media, whatever people talk about, and even it was Steve Walker here, if you know him. You know Steve Walker. Yeah. Okay, so I used to work with Steve in the past, but he was talking about the seasonality and everything. He's got a bit different approach, but he was saying that you guys are on that path. You try to do it as season as possible. You try to do it local. Is it hard? How do you find it? Can you continue? Do you recommend this to a place like this in Jersey to do it the way you guys do it? Because I find it really complicated. Tom was mentioning, Tom as well, he was saying, consistency is not really there. It's kind of complicated from that perspective. Today you get something, tomorrow you don't. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, this is the beautiful thing about our menus, and we have such a regular clientele now who have totally signed up to the way that we do things. So you can just change things out. The main staple things that go on our a la carte, we change our menus quite often. In fact, it's a bit of a thing that we kind of know that the chef knows we know the menu, because he'll change it the next day just to keep us on our toes. But it is constantly moving that menu, number one, so those regulars have always got plenty to choose from, and also to cover seasons and what's available out there. And specials are a great way of doing that. We pretty much always have quite a big specials menu, but that is really drawing on things that, again, are local and might have limited numbers,
But then I guess you're focusing, because from what I'm getting, from what I can see, so if let's say something comes up, I don't know, let's say local sea bream, then, that's going to be available as much as it lasts. And then, the following day, maybe crab is a bit more in abundance. Then you go with crab. And then is that the way you kind of like work with it in order to keep it as local as possible?
Yeah. So things like the local bream, if it's named as a bream dish, then it's going on the specials. If we've got 12 fresh bream come in from JDS Fisheries or Dunross Fisheries.
Shout out to the fisheries.
Exactly. I'll shout out the suppliers definitely through this.
Absolutely.
Because without them, we wouldn't have this business. So, and it's so important to for the public to understand that it's not just about a restaurant, not just about the people that are working in the restaurant. It's all of those people that are coming in that back door.
Such a big mechanism,
It really, really is. And if it's bream, and we've got 12 portions, we keep it on the specials until those 12 are sold and it comes off the specials. Things like catch of the day that are permanent staples on the a la carte, you just call it the catch of the day.
And whatever is available is going to be the catch of the day, which makes sense.
Going back to, very old school, but right school. It's the right way of doing things. And things like we have the courgette flour on at the moment. That's one of our famous things. And of course, that only comes along once a year if it's going to be local. But our regulars are used to it now. So 2 weeks before I even had it, they were like, it's the courgette flour coming back, it's the courgette flour coming back. So it's also about creating excitement about eating seasonally as well. Somebody knows this isn't going to be here. That's fine. I'm looking forward to having it when it is there because you've got plenty of other things on offer. And that's what you keep doing. You just keep moving to the seasons and planning your menus that way.
So I'm seeing that you guys have a special relationship with the suppliers, and I'm trying to get someone on the podcast, and I'm sure I will eventually, because nobody really says no, but as soon as you kind of like try to, we need to do it, and then, they find they're busy, and I get it, it's complicated, it really is, and they been battered, by all these after COVID and with COVID and, now trying to get back on track and, supplying all the restaurants. And so who are your main suppliers? Who are your best friends in this industry, from this perspective?
Our best friends for sure has to be a big shout out to Graham at Dunross Fisheries, Gabby and Leighton at JDS Fisheries. Chris and Chloe Gould are our absolute hand diving legends. And then the Hughes family, also a big one for us. Funnily enough, it was their son who started supplying us first, and that's our Freddie, who supplies us with our quail eggs. He was 11 when he first started supplying us. And since then, we now go to Dad, Jeremy, who rears pork and lamb on island for us as well. So that's really important. For Sprout Farm, Bill and Bruno up at Sprout Farm, grows lots of lovely produce. And of course, we can't forget Nina and Gordon at Three Oaks Wineries as well. They do amazing business up there. And of course, they supply the local co-op. So I would urge people to, when they're buying things like green beans, tomatoes and things, look for the Three Oaks Wineries label on there because you're getting it local.
So what are the challenges? Now we know who are your friends, but then, obviously it's not sunshines and rainbows over this industry. And not necessarily I'm talking financially because many people talk about staff. Are you okay from this perspective?
From the staffing perspective, well, to start with the kitchen first, because when you set out a question to me and it was phrased in, are you having as much problem front of house as being experienced in the kitchen? That really brought it home to me because we haven't had a lot of issue with kitchen staff.
Oh, wow.
We've had one chef leave us because he wanted...
Shout out today.
Yeah, exactly.
Keeping it all together.
Exactly. He wanted new experience. So that's the only reason left. Otherwise, we've got the same staff. We've got one new chef, but the other staff have been with us all the way along. Front of house has been a completely different thing entirely. And
is Dave blaming you for that?
Could be. But it has been an issue. Yeah. And maybe because it's seen... unfortunately, by the wider public, as a less professional job as being a chef. But it takes a lot of knowledge to run the front, and you have to be very fastidious in how you do things and always smiling.
And you get more connection with people. I think it's great from that perspective.
Exactly. You're literally there with the people. You know exactly what people are wanting. But I have to say, and when we talk about what the government does as far as the hospitality, I know the JHA, they're the people that are best equipped to talk about things like that on a much more in-depth scale. But if it hadn't been for the government opening up the overseas visas, I think this past year would have been a lot more difficult for me. But I have two lovely ladies, Minnie and Ade, on Kenyan work visas. And they've just made such a difference. And they're so loved in the restaurants. Well, they've just totally fitted in. They're just... The thing with the Bass and Lobster, and the thing with any restaurant, it doesn't matter what your merits are or what you've got. If you don't fit, It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, and the customer can feel that. And I think that's why it works so well now, because everybody who's at the Bass and Lobster working, it's a home from home. We just fit together, you know.
And the
Come
thing is,
rain
you
or
get a
shine.
lot of people, a lot of regulars, you know, so they expect, you know, certain, the service to be in a certain way. So you need to have like a consistency even at the front, not just food-wise, I guess, yeah. So it's important from that perspective too.
Yeah, exactly. People, especially regular people, if they know that they're coming to frequent you time and time again because they love the food and they love the service, yeah, you've got to make them feel valued. They've got to know that they're valued by you, you know. And in return, they don't just want an autonomous service either. They want to know about your background. They want to know who you are. So it's almost a symbiotic relationship, to be honest with you. You know, it's beneficial for both. They make us feel like we're achieving, and they get fed and they're happy, you know, and they feel valued.
Fair point. I mean, I would actually like at some point, you know, to get some of those, because I had somebody else, Jamie from Quayside. Yeah, he was saying, you know, how committed these guys are, you know, whether from Kenya, but I'm not sure. Like there are a few countries, you know, that recently seem to pop up, you know, coming. Not just the Romanians as we used to be in the past and Polish and so on. So now it seems to be a bit more from overseas, you know, and they are apparently really committed and they're really here to do the job, work, make money for their families, because obviously, yeah, they're not going to, most of them are not planning, I guess, to stay here just for a season. And it's great to see, you know, that there's still a bit of a passion or still a bit of a commitment to this job, because it seems like in certain situations it kind of gets lost, which is a shame. Yeah, it's complicated. Yeah, I don't know. I just think sometimes, how can we make it to be more exciting for the new generation? And I don't really know, you know, whether it's the school system, whether, I don't know, hours you can't really change much because it's just the way it is, you know. You need to be there on bank holidays. You need to be there, you know. I mean, like, okay, in your situation, actually, people working for you are kind of lucky because you guys close on bank holidays, but not all the places do this. And I think it's complicated, you know, getting people to work these hours, you know, when the 9 to 5 people are off, you know, you basically need to be at work. And it's a hard one to kind of take on board, I guess, from that perspective. Okay, so now we know, like you've been, so you had this restaurant for how many years now?
So it came into our ownership in June 2019.
2019. I know it's probably early, but have you ever considered, like, no, this is Bass and Lobster Gory, we're going to do one Sambre. Have you ever had that in mind?
No, we haven't. Well, my husband probably has on final nights, you know, a couple of reviews and it's like, yeah, site B. I don't think so. I think as soon as you split like that, then there's compromises that are going to be made. And we're not at the top end of our game. We're not perfect. So for us, it's about being where we are in this one place and just keep pushing forward, keep being innovative and keep polishing our craft, basically. So I don't think we would contemplate a second place, not unless there's another 3 days in the week or something.
How is working, you know, this, I always kind of thought, okay, my wife, she's never really going to be at the point, you know, I work in hospitality and I kind of crossed my mind, I was like, oh, it'd be great, you know, if I could work in the kitchen and she would do the front. She doesn't really like it. She was not that skilled from that perspective because you need to have a certain skill. People think, you know, that being a waiter is just like a second-hand job, but it's not. Being a good waiter is actually such a skilled job, you know, making really people feel welcome, making people feel like, I don't know, like they belong to the place, you know, so it's complicated. But would you recommend, you know, to a couple, you know, getting into this journey? Do you find it like really complicated? Would it have been easier if, let's say, you were not a couple, let's say? Or is this the strength of the business?
The strength of the business, yeah, is our commitment to each other and to the business. I don't get me wrong. There is times, obviously, where you could feel like you could just, but that's always existed between the back of the house and the front of the house.
Fair point.
So it's about identifying as a couple what's about you as a couple, or is this just the chef and the front of house manager having the usual disagreements? The one thing I've been asked before about by somebody who was going to work with their partner, and they asked for advice. And I said, I went into it, like, just treat it like any other job. And the one thing that you can't do if you're a couple is do that. You don't go in and just go cold and think I'm just front of house and just back of house. You don't go in as a couple, because you'll be kinder to each other that way as well. Because all of a sudden you realise, hang on a second, I'm not talking to somebody who's going to go home at the end of the day to their family completely separate. I'm talking to the person that I love, that I'm going home with. So I'm just going to be a bit kinder. Yeah. So we've learned that along the way. And the more we've done that, the more it's solidified what we're doing. I wouldn't want to work for another chef now. I have to say that. So because I'm so passionate about food production, this industry, I wouldn't want to work for another chef. So I think that says everything you need to know about us working together as a couple. Whether we have fallouts or not, there's still nobody's food I'd rather take out of a kitchen. So.
Oh, well done. Yeah, very powerful that. Yeah, I'm sure like you making you proud. You are proud of what Dave does, and I'm sure it's the other way around. So yeah, that makes you, really powerful. I'm asking this also because I've been on the island for 11 years. It might be that I wasn't really informed at the time or so on, but still like recent years, I'm saying 3, 4, 5 or whatever years, still you guys basically kind of like got it and you kind of brought it to the place it is today. Bass and Lobster, I don't think, in my opinion, was that well known. I mean, you guys kind of like gave it a bit of life. Probably, how long has been the restaurant? Do you know? Like how? 16
years, I think. It was Roger White of Seafish Cafe who was the first person to set it up as a restaurant.
So 16 years. But then, to be fair, it's just in recent years that you guys done such a good job that everybody's kind of like talking about it. And I would gladly recommend it, honestly, because if someone is coming in Jersey and said, I want to try something local, I don't know what your menu is going to be on that day, but knowing that you're kind of focusing on that, I would gladly recommend them, go to Bass and Lobster, because you'll get something local and the price is decent comparing to, let's say, someone that's, I don't know, okay, Tom, you're going to kill me for this, going to probably Samphire, for example. I think you are a more affordable and a bit more relaxed atmosphere. When I was there, I do like that, it's pleasant, that's why, same thing, whether, and I'm not talking just food, I'm talking the atmosphere as a whole. So I do like that, when it comes to Bass and Lobster, and I think you guys have a lot more to offer. So I'm curious what the coming years will show us. Do you have any plans, any business plans, that probably we can talk about, or you just want to do good food and then see what comes out?
We're really simple creatures, to be honest with you. That is literally our whole ethos. We just want to get better and better, more local. We like to be a little bit innovative with the food. We don't want to, there's lovely, don't get me wrong, there's lovely places you can go and have a lobster thermidor or things like. It's just not our mindset. We just want to take things. We wouldn't do a prawn cocktail with a Bloody Mary sorbet on it and things like that. Just that little bit different, a little bit unusual. Casual, relaxed environment without having to compromise quality, Do
you guys still do those amazing ice creams? Like, I don't know how many. It was crazy. I remember, because that's how kind of like that was kind of disrupting the market. It was like, these Bass and Lobster doing, I don't know how many ice creams, all together. Yeah. That was crazy.
I think hubby was trying to take on Baskin Robbins for a while with the amount of flavours that we had. The only thing that helped reduce it was the pandemic, when we didn't use the freezer. But then when we came out of it, my husband said, I'm not doing all this big list. I'll do homemade, I'll do nice flavours, but I'm not doing this massive list again, which our customers wholeheartedly disagreed with. And slowly these flavours crept back on as they said, no, you need to bring back the tarragon. Where's my red Thai curry ice cream?
Even the breads, you make such an interesting, and I like making bread myself, but some of the ideas Dave comes with, I'm like, I never thought about that.
Yeah, the one just last week was the Jersey Royals and locally foraged fennel in our bread. And a couple of people were like, potatoes in bread? But no, it went down really well. So really good flavour. If anything, it made it creamier. So yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's the good thing about it, I guess. Okay, so what's the most popular dish in your brand? And what's been popular, like a signature dish of, do you have such a thing? Because it's probably complicated having a signature dish if you are local and things change, are so dynamic. Do you have such a thing at Bass and Lobster?
Yes, I would say if you want to go for seasonal, it's named after one of our customers named it. She named it the crab moussey thing a couple of years ago, and that's the courgette flour. That is literally people who are coming over on holiday are now booking. And they were like,
specifically for that.
I was here last year. Will you have the courgette flour? And we're like, can I have it when I come back this year? You know, in the next couple of weeks, I've got little courgette flour notes next to people's bookings because they want it. Caesar salad. As Caesar Cardini intended. We've got anchovies in that dress. It's one of the best Caesar dressings ever, and anybody who likes a Caesar loves it. Our scallops, we're known for our good quality scallops, again, with the help of Chris and Chloe Gould. So they're very, very popular. And yeah, ice creams. If you want to know, it's not the Bass dish or anything, which we'll change the garnish all through the year because of seasons. But yeah, even that isn't ordered as much as the ice creams are. People want the ice creams, and people who bring other people are like, don't look at any other desserts. You need to try their ice cream. So yeah, we really the Bass and Lobster. How many you've got
now in the menu? Probably reduced to the crazy amount you had in the past, but how many you've got now?
Yeah, we definitely got up over 40 before. He'd probably be able to tell me the exact number now if he was sat next to me. But we're around about the 20 mark again. Oof. And when we came back, I think we only had about 14 when we came back. Opened up after the last lockdown. So going back to staff, because I know you guys fortunate, at least in the kitchen, you know, to keep the staff, which is crazy saying unusual, because, you know, it should be the normal, you know, keeping staff for a long period of time. But obviously it doesn't come always to the employer. It's about their ethic, and, you know, it depends. It's up to them, really. What's the secret? What do you think Dave does differently, especially on the back, in the kitchen? Because you're saying front of house is kind of changing and it's a bit more difficult to retain them. What do you think is the secret of keeping them longer? Pride, I think. They're proud of what they're doing. He doesn't feel the need to control the whole menu. If Alex or Simon comes in and says, oh, I was thinking about doing this, he's like, make it. If it's any good, I'll put it on the menu. So, you know, you're actually not just coming in and being in line. They're not being line cooks, you know, they are actually having the opportunity to come in and chef, you know. Other things, when first time Jeremy brought down the whole pig from St. Peter's for us, and to watch those boys' eyes light up as they were butchering it. You don't see that. I mean, you don't see that in kitchens anymore. So so they're being challenged as well.
Yeah, Steve said that. Yeah, it's a skill or skills altogether, you know, that chefs kind of like lost throughout the years because, you know, they never even seen. I mean, to be fair, I never done it myself. I mean, you know, coming from Romania is a bit different because, yeah, we got our traditions for Christmas and all that. So we kind of do a bit of that. Although not myself, but I've seen my parents, my grandparents, you know, do a bit of butchery, like homemade style, but not at a high level, which is great that David tried to kind of like bring those skills back. So yeah, I think it must be exciting for the guys, you know, having someone, you know, that's really passionate and they have a word, you know, in menus and everything else. So I kind of get it why it goes well from that perspective. But what can we do? Do you have an idea of what can we do, in your opinion, to make this industry a bit more appealing, to not making look, I keep saying, you know, second-hand job, but it's really unfair.
Feel right. That's a very good terminology.
Yeah, it's really unfair because I wish, you know, I can get away from it, but it's unfortunate that, you know, that's how many people see it. Do you think there is something we can do, you know, to make it be more appealing for the young generation?
For the young generation, we need to get in there really young. I mean, when we worked in France, there was 15, 16-year-olds that were at hospitality academies that were doing, you know, their on-the-job work training. It was a different mentality, you know. In the British mentality especially, I don't know about elsewhere, but you're almost seen as servile if you want to come into this industry, you know. And I've had Jersey people work with me who love doing the job, and one of their friends has turned around to me, aren't you nervous that somebody you know is going to see you? Why would you? This is a great industry to work. It's extremely hard work. You've got to be pretty strong. You've got to be pretty strong-minded, pretty strong in body. It's long hours. So you've got to have the passion, first of all. You've either got to have the passion for food or service or both. But we need to start doing something educationally at a much younger level. We need to have an outlet at a young age that, you know, kids interested in cooking in the kitchen, they can start learning from a young age in apprenticeships and things like that, you know. I feel like that would help to change the overall mentality.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Now, you guys are foodies. I've seen, posting whether on Facebook, whether you like, trying certain new things. From what I'm getting, I know that I know you well. But do you have favorite local restaurants? I mean, this might be a hard, probably.
Funnily enough, we love Samphire. Absolutely love Samphire.
No, I think the Tom is good.
I love the food that comes out there. And again, it's like you said, it's about being comfortable as well. We really love the dining room as well. So we love going there. We were only there a couple of weeks ago, actually. My sister was over on holiday and we're like, right, Samphire, off we go. Suma's Sunday lunch is absolutely amazing.
I've seen you posted the other day or something.
Yeah, we just joined there because it was their last Sunday lunch. So we were like, book us in. Are we in and around all over Gorey, all over the island? But Samphire is definitely our favourite. Definitely.
Yeah, it's great. Tom is really passionate and I really wish him well. I know he wants that star. He's not told me one that star, you lying. And I think it would be fair to get it. But yeah, it's just hard. Yeah. I mean, it's hard even doing whatever service, even like a lower standard. What about, trying to achieve that? I mean, you guys are already doing really great because you are recommended by Michelin Star Guide. Is that helping you in any way? Do you feel like he's giving you anything back?
I don't know whether it has. I guess we'd have to ask some people when they book if they've done it from TripAdvisor where it says that we're Michelin recommended. We have had it as a negative before on a review, because it was a Belgian person, so they're not reading in their first language for a start, so I understand that could be an issue. But he had the fish and chips and then was annoyed that we were a Michelin-starred restaurant and selling fish and chips. So exactly, it was it was just misunderstanding what we're tagged under. I think anybody likes accolades. It's recognising what you're doing, but it's not something that we're looking for.
Yeah.
All we want is a nice full restaurant. I love to hear the buzz of the restaurant when it's nice and full. People enjoying our food. It's nicer to have people who've eaten our food tell us that they've enjoyed our food and how much they love us.
I think that's
than
more
it is a
rewarding
Michelin
than
inspector. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Fair
it's
point.
Got to be,
I agree. And then, most of the guys that I talked to here and which they were in the Michelin mold, they said the guide is not what it used to be anyway. It's complicated, sustaining that star after that because you need to change the calories, you need to change that. I was like, it was meant to be about food in the end,
Mm-hmm.
Where is the food in all this, and it's getting like less and less percentage, that counts, which is unfair. So I think you guys being at the recommended level, I think that's probably the best place to be because you don't have that pressure, I've got a star, I'm going to lose it, or whether recommended or whether not, people will still love your food anyway.
Exactly.
So, I see that all the comments on TripAdvisor, pumping all the time.
I know people are really kind on TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
Keep reviewing us. And it's so great for the team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you guys doing a great job from that perspective. Are there any restaurants that you would like to see on the island? I mean, we've got quite a few already, but is there something else that you would like to see here in Jersey?
I don't think so. I think we've got lots of different cuisine available. And as we say, lots of produce that is available. I'd like to see in some places more variation in the menu. But we'd like other places to sometimes not be so fearful and just run with that current, because there's food is fashion as well, One place puts a chip basket, everywhere puts a chip basket. Change to a brioche roll, everywhere's doing brioche rolls. So there is that, but people should be less fearful of just trying new things. If you know your flavour profiles and you know how to prepare things, and give the variation, because people want the variation, and that's what we feel like we would like to see more in Jersey is variation on menus. Because if there's something there that's I've not seen in any other restaurant, it's everything I like on there. I haven't had that before. I'm going to try that. So that would be what we would want to see in Jersey, and no chains either.
I think you guys are great from that perspective because owning your restaurant, I mean, you and Dave, you guys can, just change things, like this. You don't have to ask, whether, this gets approved, is it going to go by executive chef to see, and he's looking at it, no, this is not going in. If you feel like it's right, it's going in the menu. So from that perspective, you're already kind of like doing this, So you probably want to see more restaurants like Bass and Lobster then, in a way.
Oh, that sounds really bad. I'm not a narcissist, I promise.
No, but I think, in a way, I think we need that, because I definitely think that is needed. And, having something like, don't get me wrong, Tom is doing a great job with what he's doing at Sunfire. And there are a few places that are kind of like following the same path, going local, trying to support local suppliers. And, it's a chain in the end. As you said, it's not just the front of our back of us, and because it's so much more behind it. And I think we all need to work together to make it work. So I think that's what you guys do. And there are a few other places that do that, but I think a lot more could kind of like join. And I think the hospitality as a whole would be a better place.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Perfect. If let's say there is someone, coming to you with advice, I want to open a restaurant, what would be your advice?
Be sure you know what you're doing. Prepare for hard work. This if you've got a talented chef, and he always says it, and he's absolutely right. This business isn't rocket science, but if you want to do it right, you've got to work hard. You've got to work hard, and the chef will work even harder still. But definitely be sure of what you're doing, because the hospitality industry that we're in now is different to 20 years ago when we were first starting.
What's the difference? I want to talk also about that. Since you brought this up, we're gonna stay a bit on it. From when you started to now, how have the customers changed? How has the industry evolved? Or maybe whether up or down. Most likely down, unfortunately. But how do you see the difference from when you were first time in the trade to now?
Well, so far as the customers, actually, I've got to give them kudos here. They're actually there's less of a barrier between the customer and the server, especially if you're the right sort of server, especially if you're willing to go across that boundary as well. Before, and in lots of places, it's very much, and this is what has contributed to the servile mentality. You've had to sort of be seen and not heard sort of thing. It doesn't work like that now with the customers. The customers want to be involved with the whole process of eating out at a restaurant. So far as the actual industry itself, too many people have got into this industry on the back of the celebrity chef movement, and that's attracted the wrong type of people. This is, I said before, like a hard industry, and I don't just mean like hard working. We're pretty hard people as well. Okay, three ladies got no problem with moving all the furniture and turning around the room in 15 minutes. We can do that, and we don't need anybody to help us with it. We joke about the wrong things. We all like to have a drink, pretty much most of us. We enjoy that.
Absolutely fine.
But now we're going into an industry, and we will do long hours. We do very, very long hours with, not enough probably rest time. But to me, that was the industry that we got into, and the payoff was everything that happens as soon as you open that door. It's the payoff of the happy customers and serving that food. And I don't know whether it's necessarily the same, and I'm a little bit concerned that if we keep going the same way forward, especially with automation as well, is a big issue. We're just going to end up with a big divide of just fast food restaurants, nothing in between, and then just fine dining that costs a fortune, because we need the feet to be running through these middle restaurants to help keep the industry going. Automation for me is a big issue. I was in Singapore recently, and out came one of these robot things with the food on it, and I was just like, no. Ordering on apps and things like that. That's not going out to eat. That's not going out.
I think it's losing a lot of the, like, what you guys stand for, local, community, everything, like a warm welcome, when people come in, a smile. It's far away, I think, and I agree, hospitality, I think it's about people.
It is about people, and you've got to connect to them. So you've got to think about every job that you do within that day, what brings you either closer to the customer or moves you away from the customer. I'm not even a fan of the iPads, ordering on the iPad as they're looking down and you're trying to talk to them because they're trying to find what bit that is. I can write your order out and still maintain eye contact and conversation with you. So I am still very old school with a pen and piece of paper when I take your order, while having conversation with you. So it's things like that. It's what things, as the world progresses and advances and, technology evolves, it's about what I want to bring in to my restaurant and what I want to keep out to help me keep close with my clientele, basically.
Okay, so that's hopefully AI is not going to take us all, any soon, or at least not the hospitality industry, which is really complex. I don't know. I mean, certain things, cooking especially, it's so complex, and it'll be, I'm not saying impossible, because certain things, that it's already happening, but not the level that, to offer a proper customer service and everything else. So I think for maybe in our lives, I like to believe this at least, that we are safe from this point of view, because there are a lot of people thinking about money. It's like, oh yeah, I can replace 3 people with a robot and I'm going to make even more money. But I think, for businesses like yours, where you are like heart and soul into it, it's a lot more than that. Mm-hmm. So I don't see you kind of thinking, oh, I can't wait to replace, so the ladies I work with, with a robot, because my life will be so much easier because I can just program it. I don't see you guys doing that or thinking about that in a positive way, which you already mentioned. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now continue talking about the business, the restaurant, because most people, as you said, they get into this, some people get into this being either romantic thinking, that they know how to cook a pasta dish and, okay, I'm going to open a restaurant, which is crazy, but some people do. Mm-hmm. Are you affected by the rising cost of everything now?
Absolutely.
Are you?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like the customers, they have a hard time now dining out, or do you see a change from that perspective as well?
Yeah, definitely have seen. I mean, right to the basics: cooking oil, butter, things like that. Which, if you've seen our menus, you probably appreciate that we do like our butter. Right, so these are the base what we call background products, which you're not going to necessarily see written on the menu, have gone up exponentially. So it's meant that there has had to be an increment on our prices. We've literally tried to just do the bare minimum, so that if we took that increment off, it would still be pre-pandemic pricing. So it's literally just to cover that. Starting to see the change in mentality as well as a customer. We know everything's gone up. We know that that's having an impact. And in a way, it's got to. There's no way that the governments that we believe in the UK and here can give out that much money during a pandemic and things not start to be recouped elsewhere, and then it affects produce, it affects everything down the line. But people are still coming out. But I feel like as well that the media needs to hold a bit of responsibility for a bit of scaremongering as well. People are literally, just like they were with the pandemic, pepper, with all the scariest things you could, they're now doing it with the cost of living crisis. It's always everything just immediately on the news, immediately comes up here, there and everywhere. And it's just putting this mentality of fear in everybody that will then affect how they do things or what they go and spend. They will come into the restaurant now and they'll have a conversation. I'll hear after I've given out menus, are we having starters or mains and desserts, already cutting that third course because they're trying to be more careful with their money. And fair play, absolutely, at least they're still coming out. We appreciate that. But I think so far as that, it is changing the way that people go out and eat.
Yeah, I was talking actually with Jamie from Quayside, and he was saying that they get a big hit on the food. So they're trying to kind of like somehow absorb that cost, whether, I don't know, with drinks, hopefully, people, because how it is, you get a menu, most of them, in most situations, you barely cover your ingredients. It's just there in most situations to hope that someone is going to get a bottle of water, is going to get a wine, and then kind of like make it work from that perspective, because that's not really the profit there. So do you guys do a bit of that, where you get a hit on, let's say, on the food, and then you kind of try to cover it with the drinks? Is it a bit of that, or you just increase and then because it's no other way?
Well, it's just a bit of both, probably. Bit of both. But yeah, again, all the drinks prices go up on a yearly basis regardless anyway. So that has to be covered. But yeah, I think really we just try to just do the bare minimum increment on the food, and hopefully you get the numbers. I mean, we are really lucky in that we have such a big regular local clientele, and we always said that we wanted to aim for the locals because being where we are in Goree, we're not in the harbour. So the harbour will obviously experience peaks and troughs through the seasons. You've got Tontivi stops their coaches right in the centre of the harbour, so you know you're going to get a rise in business. We haven't got coaches stopping outside. So originally our business plan was to aim for the locals, keep the locals happy. They'll keep us going through. They'll be our bread and butter in the winter, and I see your winter and I raise you a pandemic. But that's what's happened. They've kept us in business, you know. So we just get the steps through the door. So rather than having to just increment everything so that we can grab that money during the summer and, you know, that'll keep us going through the winter, we're quite even like that, you know. We get tourists coming in the summer.
Yeah, because when I asked you earlier, I mean, not necessarily surprised, but, you know, most people are like, you know, till it's just now it kind of like starts. It's this month when it starts kind of getting busy. But you were saying, we kind of like being constant, you know, which is great because you kind of form your pool of customers, you know, that whether it's summer or winter, there will be still those people loyal, I guess. Yeah. But what sets you apart? Because I mean, there are a few places there. It's not like you're the only place in Gorey. What do you think sets you apart? I mean, we kind of like touch a few points, but why would, let's say, people go to you instead of Sumas? Or what else is in the area? Because I'm gonna do really bad now and finding restaurants around you. But then what do you think sets you apart? What is the main decision when people will say, you know what, this is the place I want to go to, whether it's summer or winter?
Well, a lot of the time it is because of the variation in the menu. We have couples that come to us like once a week, even or once every 2 weeks or something. But it's because they say, even if we know we've only been a couple of weeks ago, we know we're going to still see something else on the menu that wasn't there last time, I'll have that. But we don't really like to think of us as setting ourselves apart. It's really important to us that we're part of the Gorey community. You know, we've got drifters around the back of us, family owned just like us. You've got Sumas down the road. We've got the ranch now down there. We've got moorings, feast is there. We've got lovely cafes, even Rona's on the beach. So are you in
good relationship with all these businesses?
Absolutely.
Well, that's great then.
Absolutely. It's really important to us, actually, to my husband and myself, and not even just it's very important to us in Gorey because that's our immediate vicinity. But I think since the pandemic, there's always been healthy, you know as well as there's always been healthy competition in this industry between each other, which is good.
Beneficial. Yeah, exactly.
But now there's an edge that's gone away from it because of how much we know we've been through in the pandemic and what a struggle it's been to just try and keep an industry that can't work from home going, you know. So it's made us a little bit more tighter as a team. You know, if somebody comes in one night and we're fully booked, then we immediately tell them where everywhere else is. You know, I've had, you know, the people come down from the moorings. Do you get that the other way around? Yes.
You do?
Yes, we
which
do.
Is a fair relationship.
People come from Sumas. People will be staying at the moorings, and Matthew and Islin have sent them down to us as well. We'll take family, we'll go and eat in all of these places they do as well. So I think it's really important in this industry to show support for one another because actually we're all in a similar difficult position. And we're the only ones who really, really understand it because we're in the industry. And a lot of lay people don't, and you probably experienced this before, don't appreciate the background of our industry and how hard work it is. For them, it's just lunch or dinner. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I feel like, you know, it's really powerful. Like, although it's a small island, town is a bit of a Wild West. You never really hear these kind of stories, you know, like you say, I've been recommended, you know, if let's say we are fully booked, Royal Yak will never probably say, I mean, I work there and I know it never happened, probably now. I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. But it never really was like, oh yeah, you guys, if we are fully booked, we recommend you going to the Grand. I never really heard these kind of stories. Or same with the food, you know, if let's say Sirocco is fully booked, you're never probably going to hear, go to Tarsili, which is unfortunate because I think that relationship is really beneficial. Both you recommend, you know, at least if I was a customer and, you know, I get a good recommendation, I will be a happy customer thinking, not even if I didn't dine in that place, you know, such a nice gesture, you know, getting me to the right place, especially when you're a tourist, you don't really know around and all that. And it's really powerful that you guys doing that. I feel like that's such a great thing to do, having that relationship. Absolutely
amazing.
It's
necessary for just to understand that we're actually all on the same side. So, and not just in this industry, it doesn't just have to be one place that succeeds. Everybody can succeed, and it creates, especially when you're in Gorey and it's that little area, if you can get people, like if you can get tourists there and they're pretty much staying in Gorey because there's enough places to go, enough places to eat and everything, then that's fabulous for everybody. Then it's not just about the Bass and Lobster being a success or the moorings being a success. Gorey is a success as a destination.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is really... Yeah, it's really good that you guys thinking this way. And, you know, you want basically everybody to succeed because you all do something different in a way. It's not like if you're going to go to Sumas, you're going to have exactly the same things like you do, because each one of you, although you are in the same area, you have your own twists. You have your own kind of like things that you've got in the menu. I'm sure like they don't do the flowers that you were talking about in the menu. You are the king of the flowers in the...
Exactly. No battle of the flowers yet this year.
But they probably do better, slightly better from other perspectives.
Oh, yeah, God, they do fruits de mer and things. We're not doing fruits de mer, and, you know, and then you've got moorings and you've got your beautiful tablecloths and you're right there, and, you know, with the cafe on there as well. And Drifters, again, is good home cooking fare. It's lovely. Oh, they do a lovely Sunday lunch, actually, as well. It just made me think of that. And absolutely lovely people as well. And, yeah, it's just, we all offer something a little bit different. People have asked me before why we don't sell our ice cream out of a window or something. And I'm like, because I've got Stuart's ice cream van there and Rona there. Why would I do that to them? You have my ice cream when you can come and eat in the restaurant. If you want to walk around on a promenade and eat ice cream, give them the business.
That's such a fair play. Yeah, good shout. Yeah. That was a good question, you know, as a customer, on why you don't sell your ice cream just like you would do on the street, because I'm sure you guys have business for that because it's really popular. And although I never tried it, because it happened that when I visited you guys, it was during winter, and I'm not the kind of guy, and probably even if it was in the menu, you know, I wouldn't eat ice cream in the winter, but I'm sure at some point this summer I'll get there and I'll try your ice cream. Absolutely, no question about it.
Fantastic.
Now, if people want to find more about you guys, whether you or Dave or about the business, where do they find you in terms of social media?
Everything's all through Facebook. Husband is all over Facebook.
He loves it.
Oh, God, yeah. He's there spamming your newsfeed. Sometimes customers come into the restaurant like, no, Dave's been on my newsfeed all day. I know what I'm having already. And he's really dedicated to that. He's just started, we're older generations, so I'm still not on Instagram, would you believe? He's just started getting onto it as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good that you guys keep posting, especially, and I keep saying, because I work with local businesses in like promoting them. I'm talking hospitality because that's what I like. And I do videos and all that, social media management. And I'm like, it's really important. TripAdvisor, for people that don't know you, you can be as good as you can be, as crazy good, you know, locally. For someone that comes from France or Germany, you know, they would go on TripAdvisor to see like what at least that's my habit, you know, going into a different country, because but TripAdvisor is always there.
And you go us too.
Yeah, you go through reviews, see if they make sense, see pictures, and you kind of, if you are experienced slightly, you know, you see a picture of food and you know that it tastes good, you know that feels right. So I think that's really powerful, and it's great that you guys continue on that path, you know, posting more, be a bit more discovered, to be discovered, you know, on social media. So everything is online on Facebook. Bass and Lobster, is it Bass and Lobster Jersey, or I can't remember what's your page?
Oh, the Bass and Lobster.
The Bass and Lobster, okay. I don't know why I thought it's the Bass and Lobster Jersey, but no, it's Bass and Lobster. So if people want to find more about you, you'll be there. Absolutely perfect. It was such a pleasure having this conversation. Honestly, amazing. And I really wish, Dave, when you finish with all your cooking and everything else, come and see us, and we'll do one with you as well. Even as a couple, you know, I'm kind of trying to get a better setup where I can get two people, because I'm sure it'll be so interesting. And I think you guys should, at some point, and I'm sure at some point we'll get you together to talk more about this industry again, because you are so passionate, and I like this.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.